They dismissed an elderly black man at a job fair, then discovered the power he held. They laughed first, not out loud, but loud enough for a man who had lived 72 years to hear it in their eyes. In the way the recruiter's smile tightened when she saw his worn shoes and trembling hands. He stood at the edge of the job fair clutching a thin resume. An old black man with silver hair, a thrift store blazer, and the quiet posture of someone used to being invisible. And when he asked about an opening, a young manager brushed him off and said, "We're looking for someone more current," while another whispered that he should try security or janitorial work. The injustice burned because this wasn't new. It was the same dismissal he'd felt decades ago, when doors closed before he could even knock. But today hurt more because he didn't need the job. He needed the truth to come out. As the crowd moved on, he slowly walked toward the main stage. The same stage where a keynote speaker was late. And the organizers panicked because investors, cameras, and executives were waiting. When they announced a delay, the old man raised his hand and calmly said he could help. And before anyone could stop him, he stepped onto the stage, straightened his back, and the room shifted when his voice filled the hall. Steady and deep, explaining market cycles, leadership failures, and the cost of ignoring people who built the foundation others now stand on. Faces drained of color when the screen behind him lit up with his name, revealing he was the founder of $1 billion firm that once employed half the company's recruiting in that room, a man who had sold his stake years ago, and now funded programs to test how organizations treated people they thought had no power. Silence followed, heavy and deserved, as he looked at the recruiters who mocked him and said softly that talent doesn't age, dignity doesn't expire, and respect should never be conditional. He walked off the stage without asking for apologies, because the lesson was already written across their faces. And as the crowd rose in stunned applause, he reminded them that how you treat the least impressive person in the room reveals everything about who you really are. If this story moved you and you believe dignity should never be judged by appearance, subscribe now, because the next story might remind you of the power you carry before the world recognizes it.